What is up, guys? It's Norg97 here, back again with another YouTube video, and I've been wanting to wear this Calgary Flames jersey in a video and have an actual purpose to wear this Calgary Flames jersey, and I finally get the opportunity. So last night, I was chilling. I made the game review for Tampa and New York games. Can I talk? Game 5. Between the two teams. It was an 8-0 Lightning blowout, as I'm sure a lot of you noticed. And, I was planning on chilling, maybe getting on some chill with the boys. I mean, it was 11 p.m., so, I had some time before I went to bed. And I had some worksheets to do regarding YouTube. And, we had a couple things we got to do. And then my pal, I Don't Give Tkachuk, who is a self-explanatory, very big fan of Matthew Tkachuk, sends me a tweet saying that Sportsnet analyst Shane O'Brien reported that Matthew Tkachuk may want out of Calgary. Unbelievable to think. I was blown when I saw that. I was like, okay, that's a definite problem, because we know where Calgary is exactly going with their rebuild currently right now. And I analyzed it and I said to myself, I'm like, okay, so Monahan's probably going to be moved for probably prospects and picks. I've heard Ottawa's a good runner for Monahan, but we're not here to talk about Monahan. We may make a video in the future. We do have a lot of Calgary Flames videos coming up. So for Flames fans who are on the channel, yeah, definitely make sure to stick around. We'll be making a couple. But I had to think it through. I was like, okay, so what teams would Tkachuk go to? And I think I've nailed down 8 teams out of all 32 NHL teams that he could potentially go to. Now, first off, if you're new to the channel and you haven't already subscribed, please make sure to do that, as we're trying to get to 900 subscribers. Currently, the channel has been really rolling with the subscribers as of late, and I really do appreciate it. You guys have no idea. It's been unreal. It's been so much fun, and yeah, we're going to keep going with this, and we're going to see where it goes. So anyways, I'm not going to waste any more of your time. This is kind of a very big video. I wanted to make this, and let's discuss Matthew Tkachuk last season, or the season that just passed, and the teams that he could potentially go to. Alrighty, and by the way, before we get into this, I also wanted to say that I'm recording this between the first and second intermission of Montreal and Vegas. Currently, it's 1-0 Montreal right now. And, I have the first period took up pretty much a whole page of notes, so it's kind of nice. So, anyways, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the 2020-2021 season for Matthew Tkachuk. Now, it wasn't the best season for the Calgary Flames. Of course, we know that. They didn't really have, comparatively speaking, to last season, where this team was, I think second or third in their own division. Comparatively speaking, that's pretty good. But comparing that to this, now it was a different division. It is a different year. They could be just off, but this is clearly troubling. 56 games played, 16 goals, 27 assists for 43 points. That isn't terrible, but for Matthew Tkachuk standards, he should be getting at least 50 points. And I mean, yes, it is a 56-game season, but I do believe he should be getting at least that amount of points. And he also had a +6 in the plus-minus marker and 55 penalty minutes. We know how Matthew Tkachuk plays. Tkachuk, he plays with that grit. He plays with that energy. I remember the incidents back in the early days of this YouTube channel when there was the Zach Kassian and the Matthew Tkachuk, and then just the amazing Battle of Alberta matchups that were going on around that time. And personally, I thought it was pretty entertaining to, watch those, and I had a good time. So I do believe that Tkachuk will definitely have value if he goes and leaves. It's not confirmed that he wants out of Calgary, by the way. It's not entirely confirmed, but it seems pretty obvious that Matthew Tkachuk could have very well requested a trade out, and that could be something big. They could get a lot of picks and prospects if they want to build this rebuild. But the problem is, I think the thing that Calgary wanted to do was Matthew Tkachuk was that centerpiece that they wanted to build this around. Sure, they may get rid of Monahan, and if it comes to it, they might get rid of Johnny Gaudreau. That I don't know where that stands. But I felt that Matthew Tkachuk, and if Johnny Gaudreau sticks around, those are the two guys you want to build this next core around. And I mean, there's Jacob Markstrom too, but there's guys in there that you can discuss. But I believe that. Now what do you do? So I brought up 4 teams here, or 4 teams from each conference. So 4 teams from the West, meaning like the Central, all that stuff. And I just realized I bought 2 teams from each division. I wasn't even attempting to do that, but you know what? I do things that I didn't mean to do. So the first team that I have here is the Anaheim Ducks. They're the first team that I have that they could go out for Matthew Tkachuk. Now look, they're not a team that Matthew Tkachuk is affiliated with chemistry-wise. And there's a couple teams in here that I say, yeah, I think he very well could be related in there. But I think that with Anaheim, they're in on Jack Eichel. We know that. And we know that, the price between Eichel and Tkachuk, significantly different. We obviously knew that. It is significantly different between the 2 prices between those 2 guys. So it's going to cost less to get Matthew Tkachuk than it would Jack Eichel. And I said this a couple times, and some people were saying this with Eichel and Getzlaf. The Getzlaf era is almost over. It practically is over because Getzlaf's a free agent. I don't really see Anaheim re-signing him. And I think that Getzlaf's either going to retire or he's going to get picked up on the lowest, like a Jason Spezza deal. That's what I think could happen. So I do believe that, although Tkachuk's not a center, it would be great to build around him. Because imagine him and Trevor Zegras and Maxime Comtois. Imagine that team. That could be great. And I mean, Tkachuk, like I said, he brings that grit into the Anaheim Ducks that they don't really have with anyone on that roster necessarily. So I think it could be very beneficial to get him. I don't know what the asking price would be exactly. If they call about Zegras or Drysdale, I think you hang up the phone immediately. But I think if they could work a trade out, that could be great. The St. Louis Blues are the next team that I have here as a team that could potentially go out for Matthew Tkachuk. Now, there is chemistry there. He has big chemistry with Robert Thomas. We know that. He has big chemistry with the city of St. Louis. Brady, I think Brady Tkachuk has more than him. But they both have great chemistry with the city of St. Louis. The St. Louis loves their father, Keith Tkachuk. And you know what? Seeing Matthew Tkachuk in a Blues jersey, that could work out. And I mean, I've seen Top Shelf Hockey and LR99. I've seen those YouTubers report on potential blockbusters going on between the St. Louis Blues and the Calgary Flames. Because they are 2 teams who are, I would say, more Calgary than St. Louis, heading towards a retool or a rebuild. But I think both of those teams are going into very interesting times right now. So I believe that, if you plan like a Tkachuk for Tarasenko, that could be a deal that could work. And you could argue Vince Dunn into that marker, a very solid RFA defenseman who could be on the move. You also look at, you got guys like maybe David Perron, Braden Shen. There's some potential here on a blockbuster, but I do believe that if there is going to be a trade between St. Louis and Calgary with Matthew Tkachuk involved, I do believe that Vince Dunn's going back the other way. That's the one guy that I can just confirm straight up that could definitely go that way. The Chicago Blackhawks are another team that I have that could potentially go out for Matthew Tkachuk. Now, this one is the least likely. To be entirely honest with you. I don't think that they're going to go out for the Tkachuk. They definitely could. But the thing is, I'm relating this one to Jack Eichel as well. The Blackhawks have recently entered into the Jack Eichel sweepstakes, which could mean something. Jonathan Toews might not be coming back. Their captain Toews might be done. Whether it's for his career or he's just done. he can't anymore. He was out the entire season for the Blackhawks. It's just very questionable what they're gonna do. So the thing is, you're gonna have a lot of cap space since you have Taves on LTIR now. You can maybe bring in Matthew Tkachuk. Now the question is, what does Calgary get that can benefit them on the other side? I saw things with people saying, oh, if Jack Eichel goes to Chicago, Kirby Dach's going back the other way. I don't want to say necessarily Kirby Dach goes back for Matthew Tkachuk. That could be way too much. But I think one thing that they could go for is P.S. Sutter. They could go for Philip Kurashev. I don't know about Kevin Lankinen. Maybe. I don't know, though, because I think Calgary's already got a good enough goalie in Jacob Markstrom in net. But the thing is, too, you got to look at it and say, well, Chicago's rebuilding as well. They're not going to be looking to give up a really big core piece. So that's why I think that's probably the most unlikely out of all the 8 that I have listed here. And the final team that I have listed for the Western Conference, I don't know why I couldn't talk there for a second, is the Los Angeles Kings. I think that, if there was a trade that they could work out, it would probably be with Los Angeles. Because it seems like Los Angeles has been really pushing for pretty much every player who's going to be on the market. They push for Dougie Hamilton, Seth Jones, Jack Eichel, Sam Reinhart, Ristolainen. They push for pretty much everyone. It would make sense if Matthew Tkachuk could go back the other way. The problem is, what do you give up if you're Los Angeles? What does Calgary want? I've heard arguments saying that, well, Calgary is like a lot of other teams, and they're gonna want depth. They're gonna want prospects and draft picks. So maybe a 2021 first goes back the other way. Or, no, I'm sorry. Maybe a 2022, 2021, whatever it is. Maybe a first-round pick goes back the other way. Potentially Alex Turcotte could be involved in that. That's something I could see. No, not Quinton Byfield. I know that's what people are wondering. I don't see Byfield. I can't see that. So, personally, I just think that, if it's going to be anyone, it'll probably be Turcotte. I don't know about Cal Peterson. I think that they want to keep Cal Peterson from what I've seen. But, nonetheless, it's a very interesting topic when it comes to looking at, what the Kings could necessarily get or could necessarily lose, from Matthew Tkachuk. Okay, so now we move on to the Eastern Conference. And what are 4 teams from the East that could go out and get Matthew Tkachuk? The first one is the New Jersey Devils. Now, in my opinion, this is probably the second least likely in the East. It's the least likely in the East, absolutely. But I think that, with a Devils team that, it would be great for a young team to have some nice grit and some fighting and some, some of that, like Matthew Tkachuk. I think that could work out. Now, the question is, what does Calgary want in return? That could stop them in their tracks. It very well could. Because I think the Devils, they have a huge future coming up. They have a lot of prospects coming down there and coming up and developing. And this season was just one of probably 2, maybe 3 development seasons for these players before they start becoming unreal. And personally, I'm just really excited to see how the Devils are going to be. If they got Matthew Tkachuk, they would be better right out of the gate. But the thing is, what do they give up? Do they give up Yegor Sharangovich? Do they give up a guy like Kuwakinen? Do they give up their what? What pick do they have in the draft? I think it's 4th. Do they give up their 4th overall pick for Matthew Tkachuk? I just don't know. But I think that if there was a possibility of him going to the Devils, I think it could very well happen. Although the asking price in Calgary's side could be way too much. That's just what I think. Now, the most likely out of all of these teams that I think could very well happen, this includes the West, this includes the East, any team, the Ottawa Senators. It would be so ideal to see Brady Tkachuk and Matthew Tkachuk on the same team. The chemistry would be great, for 1. They could be on the same line, for 2. And that would help Ottawa immediately, for 3. Now, the question is, what does Calgary give up? Or what does Ottawa give up? Do they give up their, what? Where are they selecting the draft? I think it's 10th overall, if I'm not mistaken. That's what I missed in the Eklund video. Do they give up that pick? Potentially. Do they give up a guy like, I'm not really too sure what they would give up. But I think if there was a most likely out of all the teams that I've mentioned so far, it has to be the Ottawa Senators. Just the chemistry between the two of them would be so great. It would be amazing to see that chemistry. Now, like, you can decide what they give up the other way. I think that probably the 10th overall pick's involved if that happens, and some other things could very well be involved. But yeah, right. I'm just really excited to see where he goes, and if he goes to Ottawa, I'm all for that. It would be amazing to watch the two of them play together. It's great chemistry, great practice. It would be awesome, and I think Ottawa would really go off if Tkachuk went to Ottawa. Now, I feel like they're going to pursue Sean Monahan a lot more instead of Matthew Tkachuk, but it could happen. You never know. You never know if Pierre Dorion and the Ottawa Senators. Melnyk could be like, go out there, get Tkachuk, or you're fired. I feel like I would do that if I was Melnyk. Maybe. Anyways. All right, moving on to the next team. So the next team is a team that, well, when you look at it from the start, I don't really know if they want to give up their future for a guy like Matthew Tkachuk. But I put the Detroit Red Wings in this other column. Because, and not just because of, like, there's really no chemistry between any of the players there. Calgary could want a lot. But the thing is, Steve Yzerman is Steve Yzerman. And Yzerman would pull off a deal where it would look like both teams would win. That's kind of what I believe could happen. Because you never know. Steve Yzerman, and they could be, and I said this with Jack Eichel too. I would not be surprised at all if Jack Eichel goes to Detroit. Whether they luck out somehow and don't give up all of their prospect pool for Jack Eichel, if they somehow figure that out and put him on a line with Dylan Larkin and Bertuzzi, I don't know how that would work, but you know what? I would love it. So I think that Detroit, with their crazy general manager, crazily smart general manager at that, would go out and get him. I really wouldn't be surprised. So let me know what you think about Detroit with that, because that's an interesting topic. And the final team I have here is actually the New York Rangers. Yeah, the New York Rangers. And the thing is, the Rangers might be in on Jack Eichel. They might be in on, Reinhart. There's so much questions with the team. But I feel like the Rangers, and I'll say this with a lot of with a lot of players when it comes back to them, I'll say it a lot. I personally think that, I think that with how their manager got so demanding to make a big deal and they want to win now when they're probably going to start winning next season, it wouldn't really surprise me if they went on for Matthew Tkachuk. Now, whether they give up a key piece, which I don't think they really want to do that, maybe Buchnevich goes back the other way. I don't know. But you know what? I think that nonetheless, it would be very exciting to see Tkachuk on the Rangers. That would make the Rangers, good on all aspects. It would make them good on offense, good on defense. They're already good on those. Good on goaltending. And they would be good on the physicality. Now, you do got guys like Blackwell and Hijack and Giuseppe who do the good physical role. But if you put Matthew Tkachuk into that grit role with the New York Rangers, yeah, they win it. They're gonna win it. They're gonna be a Stanley Cup contender. So let me know where you think Matthew Tkachuk can go in the comments below. And I'd like to thank y'all for watching. And for our support as of late, I really do appreciate it. And we've been really rolling on this channel as of late, and I couldn't be more happy for the results that are coming out. So yeah, thank y'all for watching, for your support, and I will see you guys in the next video.